Yes, I would jump in, Harsh, because we had a little pre-warm up amongst each other. So hopefully our technical setup should be perfect. So thank you for the introduction. We have a wonderful panel discussion ahead of us now. And on the topic of how innovative customer experiences enable growth. I have the pleasure of being the moderator for this session. And when I don't moderate sessions like this, I work at Thoughtworks and focus on customer experience and innovation, and also previously started my own startup. So innovation is where I get really excited. But why did we want to organize this session? I'll introduce that briefly before jumping to our wonderful panelists. We thought this topic was really important because customer experience does enable growth. And in times of economic uncertainty, what happens is companies turn their focus to internal challenges and focus on efficiency programs often and cost cutting. But to gain and to retain our competitive advantages, innovation is crucial to create those new services that will help us enable growth in future. So the goal of this session is to share some good practices and some experiences on how to do that, but also look at what are some of the challenges that we're facing when doing this. Now, to make this a vibrant discussion, we have 3 different panelists here with different experiences and different industries, from insurance, retail to consumer goods. So let me introduce them. We have the wonderful Sonja Saloch, and she is head of product management at Otto, where she leads topics such as personalization, recommendation systems, customer loyalty, and intent recognition, and probably many more. And we also have Eline Korndijk. She leads the customer experience management at Swiss Life, where she drives the improvement of customer experience based on those decisive moments in the customer journey. And as we're in the insurance context, there aren't many, so getting them right is really critical. Finally, Jasper. Jasper Krog is Global Digital Innovation Manager at Beiersdorf. You might know them from brands like Nivea. And Jasper focuses on crafting strategies for augmented reality, AI, metaverse, and other emerging technologies. So you see, we have different experiences, different industries here. So that should give us a vibrant discussion with our panelists. Now, before we jump into the conversation, I would also get you, the audience, involved, because it's a panel, right? If we were in person, we would interact wildly. So I would love to pose a question to you before we jump into the discussion, which is, not yet. Nicolas, this one we will have later. I have another question for you first. That is, what is one word that comes to mind when you think about how innovative customer experiences enable growth? Just one word. I'll give you 10 seconds. Don't overthink it. What's one word that comes to mind for you when you think about the topic? Oh, I see the chat is being empty. That means you're not thinking about this topic yet. Ooh, advocacy, I see. Ooh, okay. Well, that leaves me with some interesting food for thought. We have advocacy, interaction, care, but nothing that springs to mind yet. So maybe we'll warm a little bit up with our discussion and see what's top of mind for our panelists in this topic. So let's get started with our first question and think about, in the situation that I've described around current economic uncertainty, cost cutting, how do we keep that focus on innovation for customer experience and ensure that it enables growth for us in the future. Eline, how do you balance that, and how do you keep that top of mind with those competing priorities that organizations have and need to balance?
For me, it's really the good thing is it's part of the strategy of Swiss Life. So customer experience is one of our strategic topics. So we have like the engagement and the support of the management. But of course, not always. Like it sometimes costs and efficiency are top of mind for the management. And then we don't have that much budget to work on innovation, to work on customer experience. But what we did is we try to anchor customer experience in the organization. So not seeing it as a different team, a different silo, but we really make the connection with the project management, with the process improvements. So we make sure we are part of the operational processes, and that's why we are strong to also bring it to the mindset of the employees. We make sessions with the project manager. We like try to be there and convince them and put our methodology in like running projects. So we try to combine like customer experience and efficiency in a good way. So take the advantages of both.
Oh, that almost sounds like a two opposing poles that come together there. Really interesting. I might come back to that, Eline. Jasper, how do you do this in your context? Do you take the similar approach, like weaving it into the fabric of everything so that it is not optional? Or is there something else that helps you bring that to life?
So it's like for us, we have continuously always these business needs and consumer needs topics. We know more or less what both of them are. So this is the one part. This is more the business part, I would say. Then the business plus more creative part and technology part is what technologies are currently out there, what innovative technologies are out there, and how can we use them to fulfill this need. So it's not like they're running for us the whole time in parallel. And sometimes you have, I don't know, for several months, nothing which is happening. And then there's a technology coming up where you say, okay, now we can implement it, test it, because it meets both of our expectations. We test it, we evaluate it, and if it works, we scale it out to the countries or to other markets or to other products. So it's quite flexible and always runs in parallel for us. So it's not different poles we have there. It's parallel poles, if you want, so which are there.
Yeah, fascinating. So it's also really making it a continuous habit of the organization where we're training that muscle every day, not every now and then when we think we want to think about innovation, but as part of our daily routines in that organization.
Exactly, and they come from different sides. So sometimes it's the product marketeer which has the idea. Sometimes it's coming from brand marketing, sometimes from R&D. So we are quite open from where the innovation comes and from what person, doesn't matter, at least if it's for our business good. So we try it.
Yeah, fascinating. Sonja, how does that look for you at Otto? Do you have a similar approach there?
Since working in product management means that you have that you basically work on innovations and customer experience, for my teams it's basically everyday work. But we also have, and I'm very happy about that, a strong focus in the whole company on customer experience and innovation. But the main point in order to have the freedom and the trust to work on it is basically being able to deliver. So we have to get the features live, we have to prove that they work, we have to prove that we can create revenue and margin with that. And after that, we are able to work more intensively on innovative or customer-focused features.
Yeah, fascinating. And it almost sounds like you're describing my dream world of working daily. So I'm going to come with a challenging question now. Like, what are some of the biggest challenges that you encounter when you do that?
The challenge is to convince management that that we are successful, because especially when we're talking about machine learning, where innovation takes place, or algorithms. It's something that you cannot touch. It's a black box, and we're able to deliver great results using those black boxes. But in times when consumers restraints take place, when you have a lot of uncertainty out there, top management falls back into habits such as wanting to control things. And controlling a black box is just not possible. So regaining the trust, explaining them that the black box might be gray at some points, that we have input factors and outcomes and all that, that is a challenge, because you have to somehow make it touchable and comprehensive for management.
Yeah. And how does management react? Because the fuzziness is, I think, what makes us all nervous sometimes. And I think especially now with the uncertainty in the economy, how are you able to give confidence that it's okay and to sit with the fuzziness?
It sometimes works and it sometimes does not. Sometimes we even do tests proving that manually interactions with the algorithms do not work. So we prove them wrong in the end. And sometimes it's just explanation rounds, creating charts just in order to let them feel how it works. And sometimes we have click sessions with them, make them click around our platform and see what happens in recommendation systems, for example. If they click something, how their storefront will be rearranged, if they delete their cookies and all that. And you create some effects with them, and that helps. And storytelling helps as well.
Yeah, fascinating. And you used some ways of describing, like helping stakeholders feel and also experience the situation themselves by clicking through. Really fascinating. Eline, how does it look like? If I think about convincing stakeholders, if we maybe stay with that challenge for a moment, how does that look like in your context?
Yeah, we have a similar situation, although our product is not so sexy and not so exciting. And I guess not many customers do want to buy an insurance product or are happy to have a meeting with their advisor. But we also try to involve customers in the development of our products. And if we, for example, develop an online tool for on our website where customers can see like this mortgage rate, for example, we involve customers, we execute like design sprints. So we are together with different stakeholders from different departments and try to really work on it together, that you have the specialist for the user experience, the developer, the project manager, and bring all the employees together, work on this innovative tool. And then we test it with customers. We invite them to come to our design sprint and also let them click and go through the new product. And yeah, I think it's all about feedback. Also in our tools, we try to implement like this feedback function, so we know what customers think about the tools, and then we learn from it and try to improve.
Yeah. And how easy is it to get those multidisciplinary colleagues to join those sessions? I imagine they come from different parts of the organization, so you're kind of pulling them out of maybe the daily business and bringing them into creating those new innovations. How easy is that to tackle?
It's not so easy, especially for the IT department. It needs a lot of work to get their commitment. It's like our company is traditional company, exists for more than 165 years, and it's like grown, and it's like the teams are really separated and have their own goals. It's not like we have a common goal to improve customer experience. Every department have to have set their own goals, and the IT departments are working on this databases. We have a lot of data in different tools, and like sometimes the basics are missing. So it's not, we are not able to get all the data together and have like this 360-degree view on that. And if we talk about innovation and the projects, and we need this dynamical user journeys, and we need to understand the different touch points, they think, okay, yeah, we are not there yet, maybe in 10 years, but I try to convince them then we need to act now, because we have competitors, everybody is working with new technology, with dynamic user journeys, and so it works. We have now in the meantime a couple of great examples, so we can show the benefit of customer experience also in Swiss francs, that it brings companies a value. So it's getting more easy, but it's not always. It's a challenge.
Yeah, thank you, Eline. Jasper, do you face similar challenges, or do they look completely different for you?
So they're going also in the same direction, I would say. So everything which is around getting many stakeholders on board, convincing them about the technologies and so on. I think what's different are two components. So at least in my personal experience, number one is because we are very consumer focused, you're always in this FOMO, so this fear of missing out things bubble. So meaning something new is coming up and everybody comes to you and say, hey, something new is coming up, we want to test it, we want to do it. So you need to be some kind of filter and gatekeeper and say, yes, it's interesting, but potentially not for us as a brand, or not for our products, or not for our business goals. So it's like the technologies are coming up, so many people are now confronted with, and so many people want to do something there. So this is a challenge. It's good that people want to do something, but it's also then hard to be the filter here. And second thing is, so Eline and Sonja both talked a lot about this topic, conversion and winning new clients and winning new consumers and customers and so on. Of course, I guess a lot of people know the brands Nivea, they know this color of the brand. They know it's not only about the products. If you're thinking about Nivea, a lot of people have some kind of personal relationship, if you want so, to the brand itself, not to specific products, which means that if we are talking about consumer experiences, also have a strong brand and creative focus on these things. So it's not always about we need conversion, or we need to win new consumers, or we need to win new consumer profiles. Everything important, and everything, of course, also in the roadmap, but also how can we remain our brand image, for instance, is also something which we are looking for. How can innovative technologies support this?
Really interesting to introduce the brand aspect there. And shifting on from the measuring maybe of like sales that we normally measure. How do you measure brand? I assume, Jasper, if that's kind of top of mind, people also say, okay, well, now show us how that's helping us sustain our brand. How do you do that?
Yeah, so of course, this is something, if you're talking about brand, this is something which, of course, take years and ages and experience you have. The good thing with Nivea being a brand for 100 years, you can really go back in time and see, okay, how has the brand developed? And this has been yearly developed or measured by some kind of, which we call brand health tracking. So there are tons of different factors which are measured, which are usually in polls and similar stuff, and one-to-one talks to consumers, or going into this one central database where we can say, and I think there are over 50 different data points and aspects where the brand is measured on. And then we can really see profiles on, okay, it's now going in, I don't know, in Spain, it's going more in the friendly direction, but people are losing connection to ABC and so on. So we get for each country some quite decent profile, which then gives us indication on what does the brand in Nivea in Spain has to work on, what does the brand in France needs to work on. So it's also there different from country to country. But the good thing is we have the data based on the last 100 years. So it's a quite detailed database we can work on.
Yeah, maybe one more question, Jasper, because I imagine many aspects impact brand, how do you make that connection back to the innovation that you're driving and creating to that positive brand impact?
The factors, one of the factors, for instance, is also, of course, although Nivea is a traditional brand in our segment, skincare, for instance, being an innovative brand is also a factor. Being innovative could not only mean being innovative in products with new formula, could be also, do I perceive the brand as being some kind of front runner in what they're doing, and using innovative things like going for an augmented reality experience, for instance, helps that people see the brand as an innovative brand.
Yeah, fascinating. Thank you for sharing. Sonja, Eline, staying on the topic of brand, how important is that in your context, also when we tie that back to the topic of innovation?
So for Swiss Life, it is really, really important. When I started a couple of years ago, they was running this campaign like a self-determined life for our customers. And it's like, it's a Swiss-based company, it's a Swiss company, and we had like this purpose, which is really strong, anchored in the organization. All employees are participating in like purpose workshops. And one of the purpose level is we know our customer needs. So I thought also by developing customer experience programs, I think it's important to combine like this customer experience, brand experience, employee experience. There must be a connection. And that's why we also started by developing this more strategic approach on customer experience management. We started with the purpose. We know customer needs. Yeah, how do we know them? And then we started analyzing this customer feedback, these surveys. Then I analyzed like 20,000 feedbacks manually, built these categories. And then we had like this pain points, and we made it like customer experience principles to get it into the organization. So a project manager can say, okay, I'm working on this project, and in the end, it has to be there has to be benefit for our customers. So they have to say on which customer experience principle it has a positive effect.
And then these principles also help drive the connection back to the brand and the perception of.
Yeah, and also with implementation, when we implement, when we have an idea in this innovation, our innovation projects, we have the purpose pit stop. So the project manager has always have to make this connection and to see how is the connection with the purpose levers. How do we get it Swiss Life branded, and yeah, that there's a fit with like the ideas, the products to the brand.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Eline. I also love the different approaches that both Jasper and you shared on making that connection. Sonja, what does it look like for you? How do you drive brand with the innovation work that you're doing?
Brand for Otto is a key factor as well, because the brand itself enables people to, the other way around. If we are not in the relevant set, if the brand is not relevant for people, people don't visit us and people don't buy with us. So having an outstanding brand with values that are appealing for our customers is essential to our business. And we have many surveys how our brand is received. And to be honest, our brand itself is not received as innovative because we are a Hamburg business. We are a traditional family-owned company, and the brand is as traditional as the company image as well. So what my teams are focusing on is to have some innovative spirit on the platform, and to make those little features bigger in the future, so that we are able to address a younger audience and a younger target group, because many people still have the old catalog in their mind when they're talking about Otto. But in fact, we have a lot of surveys that we're doing, and we are even able to see connections between not the brand, but a little step lower between user experience on our platform and the average or subsequent long-term demands and long-term traffic, because we have surveys conducted on user experience. And we're using kind of Likert scale and asking six dimensions of user experience. And we saw a linear connection between user satisfaction and revenue and traffic generated by those customers who are more content with our platform.
That's a really great proof point, very exciting. And I love how we kind of started with challenges here and someone turned the circle to really positive topics around brand and measuring the impact, because some of those things are hard. And I would maybe love to pose that question also to our audience. And Nicolas, now hit the button for our question. What are the biggest challenges that you encounter when creating innovative customer experiences? Nicolas, if you can share our, yes, wonderful. I think that might not be the question we were looking for. Nicolas,
I'm so sorry.
the one,
I'm so sorry.
what is your no, I forgot the question too.
Let me check.
It was a nice test.
Sorry.
What is your biggest challenge in creating innovative customer experiences is the question. And it will have options such as convincing stakeholders, articulating value, measuring business impact,
This one, right?
customer impact. Yes, that's the one.
Okay, I'm sorry. Here you go.
Thank you, Nicolas. Creating next one is keeping a razor sharp customer focus first. We often can get distracted by tech and forget about customers, or creating an experimentation culture where failure is also seen as a valuable learning, or there might be something else. So give your vote. You can select one or many. And Nicolas, I'll trust you that you'll tell me when it's maybe when we have a good proportion of people who have responded, because I'll be quite curious to see what that means for our audience, and maybe also our panelists can share their perspective on maybe what's the top mood in the room around those challenges. Nicolas, how does it look? Have we got a good
Yeah, there's still coming questions, answers in, so
okay.
I would wait a couple of seconds.
I know I gave too many options. I mean, I have to actually read them.
Okay, but I think I can end it and also share the results, right?
I hope so. Ooh, very interesting. Oh, convincing stakeholders is our top challenge. And then followed by articulating value and measuring business and customer impact. So actually really fascinating. I think we started with the challenge of convincing stakeholders and talked about those, actually Sonja talked about those wonderful methods around getting stakeholders to experience it, getting them to feel it, I think you said as well, which really resonated with me, and the storytelling. Maybe Jasper, I think I didn't get the chance to ask you about this specific topic. How does it look like in your context? How do you bring stakeholders along on that journey and convince them of the value?
So a little bit similar to Sonja's approach. So thankfully, I have topics like if you're thinking about augmented reality and if you're thinking about also artificial intelligence, these are topics which are really tangible and which are really interesting for people to watch. So if you're going, I don't know, to the board or going to the senior management and you have an augmented reality experience and can say, hey, look, this is our packaging, and if our consumer are scanning it in, they see this and that. augmented reality experience. All of the whole audience is fascinated and interested and so on. So rather the problem is more for us this value thing. So how can this create value? But the first step of fascinating people about something is, let's say, quite easy, because what we usually do is we need a prototype. So this is everything. It's there's no sense in making a presentation and talking about, because it's too abstract for them to understand it. You need a prototype. Everybody needs to test it out. Everybody understands this in only that way. So forget presentation, do a prototype and let people test it and play around with it. Even if it's not your brand, maybe other brands or companies already did this. So you can say, look, what they have done, test it out. We want to do this also for our brand.
Nice.
Not
And that ties,
competitive brand, of course. We want to be the first ones, but there are
yes,
non-competitors out there which potentially have done something which gives us inspiration.
yeah, and that ties really nicely back to what Sonja had shared about getting stakeholders to experience it, not having to listen to a really good, well-made argument and imagine what it would be, but actually really experiencing it. Elina, how important are those prototypes in your context to convince stakeholders?
Important as well, but I think it depends on the level. Like if you talk in the board meetings, it's less important than if you talk with senior management. In the board meetings, we try to start with like these emotions, like real customer feedback, and show them what customers are saying. That didn't work. Sometimes it's okay, but then they start discussions and think about getting involved emotional as well. And sometimes there's like not a real failure culture, or we're working on it, but it's not like so open that you can say our advisors did a bad job because the quality is not that well. So that wasn't the best solution. And as I told before, we have cannot always measure the business impact. So we tried like to work with these different dimensions. One of them is like the governance. I built this network of customer experience responsible persons, like the champions. So we have like this bigger group, and to show them it's in every department. It's not a customer experience team that wants it. We are like with the organization, and it's like a little bit cultural change as well. Then we have the implementation. We show the benefit, or what the customer success is after implementing these improvements. And yeah, the measurements, we try to make our customer journeys measurable. And yeah, after we implement a digital tool, we try to compare also advices which already work with the new tool compared to the ones who are still working with the paper and drawing the numbers to the clients. And you see a difference. I mean, it's often it's like the proof is there that it makes sense to work with digital tools, to work with a new product. So then you have concrete use cases which are easy to understand.
It's really fascinating. Elina, you also said you start with emotion in the boardroom, and in a way that's is really unexpected for me, because I think we always think about that. C-level wants to hear numbers.
Yes,
we convince them by giving them numbers. So I'm really curious if we can briefly explore this kind of maybe positive tension between like providing the numbers and making things measurable, but at the same time it's not enough to bring the hard numbers.
It is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it was like I wasn't able to bring the numbers. So, so when I started, I had to find a way to get this attention to go into the board meetings every couple of months. So that's why I started. And I also think it makes it like it's if you bring like a real customer feedback, they think about the employees which are on the phone with the customers, and normally it's so far away from them. They only think in the numbers and what brings us customer experience. I mean, we are not a real big team. We work like with this network. So our project manager are in the department, decentralized. and I wanted to like engage the management, and I thought it's let's try to not only engage because of the numbers, as we didn't have the concrete business cases in the beginning, and now we still won't have. We have a couple of them, but not everything is measurable, and we cannot say by doing this closing the loop calls, by calling the customers which are not so satisfied with which give us a low NPS score, we call them and then we try to find out what's the reason that the feedback isn't that good. But we still didn't measure it, that are customers really more satisfied if you close the loop. So we will do it in the future, but I think it's good to have this combination and to, yeah.
Yeah, fascinating. Thank you, Lina. It's really interesting that using those storytellings as something, if we don't have the large scale data yet, but even that when we have it, it's keeping those stories to bring the data actually to life, so that we keep that emotion and that empathy in the boardroom with what's actually happening. If you permit me, Elina and Sonja and Jasper, I would maybe look at our audience, and there are a few questions that were already popping up in the chat. And there's a question from Holger Koch, and he asks, what is your opinion about applying customer experience or even customer journey thinking approaches to your internal organization as well? Maybe Sonja, then I'll pass the baton.
To be honest, I did not really get the question. So what I think about the customer journey combined with the internal focus?
I think what the question is getting at, I'll add my interpretation here, is what is your opinion about applying customer journey thinking approaches to the internal organization? So the approaches that we use for creating great customer experiences for the outside, for our customers, for consumers. What do you think about applying them internally to the organization? I guess to employee experiences, but maybe also how we manage the experience journey of our stakeholders.
I think in our daily work, we do that because that's the basis of product management. But thinking about board meetings, I'd rather skip that, to be honest.
No worries, that was my interpretation, and Holger kindly shared a clarification, which is for aspects such as developer experience, looking at our employees like developers, also as customers of some of the products that we're creating.
Developer experience is quite an emphasis in my company because it's essential to have great developers that are happy and happily working with us in order to create great products. So creating an environment where they are able to be innovative, where they have the freedom to work on innovative topics or just interesting topics is a great focus. And we have several formats in which we encourage people to increase their developer experience, such as Slack time, where they can work on whatever is coming up to the teams. We have 2 weeks sprint a year where all the teams can just work on any kind of innovation, which is connected to e-commerce, of course. And we also try to get that live on the platform after those 2 weeks. And so I'd say we care a lot about developer experience. But I'm curious as well what Bayersdorf or Swiss Life do on that point.
Yeah, we have the same. We have this hackathon where we bring together the developers and the innovative, like the human-centered design. We try to understand customer needs and then really work on this. Our IT department has like these innovation days. They can work on a Swiss Life topic or another private topic and see if it has a benefit for the organization. Yeah, it's similar. I think you automatically have like these employees motivated through bringing them together, and learn also the developers, like the IT, how we think and how it makes sense to work together, how we think what the customer needs are, what we think will be a good product or a good tool or good feature to implement, and then build the stories and build it together.
Yeah, thank you, Elina. I might jump to the next question, looking just a little bit at our time, and there's still a few interesting ones that we have here. And one is around, how do you provide the connection from CX improvement to the increase of EBITDA? I know that's the hard one.
Actually, we made the connection already, because we have that CX score survey that has been conducted for over 2 years on about, I think it's 0.5% of all our users. And we took all that data and were able to establish a linear relationship between the average CX score and in the survey, and the subsequent long-term demand and the long-term traffic generated by that customers. And we even got one step further recently, actually, because we wanted to know if those scores are sensitive enough to measure peaks or lows in user experience. So we did a quite brave experiment and stopped all personalization on the platform except from sponsored product ads. We did it for 2 weeks, and we saw a massive decrease in usage rate of those longer personalized features. It was about 32% on the storefront, and we saw a massive decrease in financial KPIs. We saw an uplift in bounce rates and all that. And from that, we have great data that is able to connect user experience scores to financial KPIs. So in the end, to EBIT.
Yeah, wow, and that's quite a strong watertight case that you've described there. Elina, Jasper, what about you?
Working on a strong case. No, we made we improved our customer journey methodology. So we really try to understand the processes and have like this customer KPIs and the operational KPIs, and try to combine them or see how do we make this customer journey measurable. And overall, we are working on this financial linkage. So we work with like churn rate or retention rate. How long do the customers stay at Swiss Life? So we are working to get this data right and to create it, but at the moment we don't have it yet. As I told you, our database isn't so that we have this historical view on the data, so that we can just through it from the system and do all the exciting analysis. So it wasn't there. We are implementing it, and hopefully next year I can say which metrics we managed.
And for us, it's very complicated, to be honest, because Sonja, of course, and also a little bit Elina have, let's say, quite, how to say, closed loop, if you want so. For us, Sonja has the great advantage of directly selling the platform on our products on our own platform, and changing something and has direct impact. We are a brand which is living in the retail, so meaning changes what we are doing are not directly seen. We also, so it means, I don't know, if we change something in the products, it's not like that we get the next day the results. We also don't always have access to the data, so meaning if there's something is improving, we cannot directly say this is linked to ABC because it was coming from another business, or they did a promotion which we're not knowing from, or whatever. So it's hard for us saying we now have this consumer experience and this is now the sale causing the sales increase, because therefore we have too many activations running in parallel that you can really focus on this. But nevertheless, there are certain consumer experience where we directly can measure success. For instance, if we're talking about integrating chatbots, KI or AI-driven chatbots on our website, we can of course see how many people have used it, where they link to, bounce rate, how long have they used it, all these different insights we can then generate. So everything which is happening on our own channels, we have the full control and get as much first-party data out of it as possible. But beside that, it's hard to measure if you're going outside of your own shops or own ecosystem, so to say.
So imagine, Jesper, storytelling and creating the experience is even more critical in your context than when the data is a little bit more fuzzy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. I'm looking at the time and I would love to close with one question. And I would like to ask that to our panelists and to the audience, which is, what are you excited about going forward if you think about customer experience innovation? So from the audience, please write your things in the chat. And for our panelists, maybe Sonja, I'll ask you to start. What are you excited about going forward for the topic of customer experience innovation?
We had a great project last year. We hosted a Kaggle challenge. Kaggle is the world's largest community for ML and AI. And we hosted a challenge there in order to get some insights about multi-objective recommender systems. And the challenge was a really great success because we were able to we were probably able, and that's the part I'm curious about, to improve our recommendation systems massively. And what we calculated at the moment is that we are able to improve it by about 18%, which would be 90 million euros plus revenue next year. And so we are working on the implementation now. And I'm curious when we can have it live and then see the results actually.
Wow, fascinating. Definitely a very inspiring outlook. Thank you. Jesper, what about you? What are you excited about going forward?
As I'm brand marketer by heart, I'm of course also interested in what's going on in all the field of artificial intelligence. But what for me is the most interesting part currently, how, let's say, augmented reality or immersive technologies will proceed in the future. Meaning we all know about the Apple glasses. So this idea of that somebody's wearing the glasses now you're having on can now have instant translation on it, can look at a product and get the information about it, can read or watch Netflix on it, whatever. So really going from this hands where we always have one hand on our smartphone, going to this hands-free society, which is opening so many things, which is also of course artificial intelligence connected, because if you want to do instant translation you need an AI behind it. But nevertheless, this whole system of that in future content is being perceived on a new device, on a new technology, this really fascinates me.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Jesper. And Elina, and in closing to you, what are the things that excite you going forward?
Yeah, for me, it's like I heard last week about this artificial intelligence jobs identified in the design thinking process. So I think you can use technology in so many ways, like creating surveys, using in support for our sales agents. It's like there are so many possibilities, and we try to start with small use cases like the sentiment analysis, and that really excites me, that you come from this traditional surveying customers to totally new approach. Like a customer calls us and we already know, or we think what is his concern? Why does he call us, and is he satisfied or not, and is it an urgent case, or how should we respond, and like make all this analysis, sentiment analysis, this new technology, speech to text, and there are many possibilities, and I'm really excited. Now we are testing ChatGPT, like these large language models. I think there's so much going on to further develop customer experience and to combine these two exciting topics to make to create great customer experiences in the end, in the future, even more and even faster.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Eline, Jasper, and Sonja. We touched on a lot of topics and talked about a lot of challenges, but somehow we always swung back to something positive. So I leave our conversation with a feeling of possibility. I hope our audience feels the same. And I say thank you for joining and sharing your experiences. And with that, I will hand over back to Harsh.
Yeah, thank you, Sabrina, and thank you everybody for joining and sharing your insights. I think it was lovely to see that depth and see the wide spectrum of ideas that you bring to the table. So thank you from my side and from everybody who attended. Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was fun. Thank you.